Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Lost Codex. I'm joined today here by Ishura, and we are going to talk about the War Within Alpha, which we've been playing for the last 2 days. And yeah, we have a lot to talk about because there's a lot of new stuff, a lot of exciting lore tidbits. Not what we expected, but yeah, we'll get into that when we do. Ishura, can you say hi to everyone?
Hello, I'm Ishura, and I suppose if you're new here, my responsibilities, mostly in the Lost Codex, I've been doing voiceover a lot recently for videos and have dabbled very passingly in script writing. And then I also take care of a lot of the social media stuff. So if you see really bad memes, that's me.
Yeah. If you see bad memes, she's the mastermind behind them, and I'm probably the one constructing them. So guide your anger towards both of us. Right. So let's set the scene a little bit. So we got invited by Blizzard for the War Within Alpha for the grand total of 48 hours until just recently the NDA was lifted on Wednesday, 9 a.m. PDT, after which promptly our alpha access was also revoked. So what we got is what we got. So let's talk about that. We created a character. For starters, we saw the warband area, which is a little bit empty at start, of course. But by the time we got a couple of characters down, it started to look like a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that one. What did your warband look like?
I feel like I saw it so many times because of the disconnects.
Oh, yeah.
And after a certain point, I was like, I don't want to see this anymore. Just log me in, please.
Yeah, Alpha's gonna Alpha, definitely. Yeah, my very first adventure into the Alpha was I logged in, created a character using the create a pre-made character button, and I got a level 1 character, and I got put on the boat to the new player experience from BFA. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. And turns out creating a second character or creating another new character fixed all that, because that character was level 70, and Alpha's always an adventure. So, but we got in the end, and we got some gameplay down. Like from the start, it was quite a surprise to see where we were going and how we were going there. So yeah, let's start by prefacing also is that we are going to talk about the Alpha, where the Lost Codex is a story-heavy channel. So yeah, we are going to discuss spoilers. If you don't want to get spoiled for the War Within story or any gameplay or whatever, now would be the time to zoom away, go to another YouTube channel, come back when the War Within releases 2024 ? And we'll be happy to have you. But yeah, we are going to be discussing spoilers here. So if you don't want to get spoiled, now's the chance to flee, run. But yeah, so start of the Alpha, characters created. We talk to the friendly neighborhood Flascator or Torin or whatever his name is this time, and you get ported to the Isle of Dorn, to the wreckage of Dalaran.
We really start with a bang.
Yeah, that's... And I mean, to be honest, there is like a small little pre-quest to that bit, where you actually, you go visit Magni in Silithus at the Chamber of Hearts. You have a little conversation with him. He's a little bit upset, actually, with Azeroth, which was kind of interesting because ever since he woke up, and especially in Battle for Azeroth, he was like this Azeroth fanboy and very much on her side and seemingly at peace with his role as Speaker of Azeroth and what that meant for him. But cut to a couple of years later, in both in-game and in real life, and he's actually kind of a little bit resentful toward Azeroth for not really speaking with them anymore and leaving him as a diamond encrusted, like a pure diamond creature that can't really feel the touch of his loved ones and all that. And I'm actually I was quite surprised that he was that resentful, that negative towards Azeroth. What are your
Me
thoughts about that?
too. I it sort of felt like we cycled back around to when it first happened, before he could sort of hear Azeroth, or was sort of like stuck and didn't move. And I didn't expect this angle. Like, it sort of felt like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And that I was so confused when he was
This is definitely a spot where I think like a short story or like a short comic would help to,
for sure,
to ease players into that sort of mentality, because literally the 10 seconds that you talk to him before you go into the conversation where stuff happens.
Yeah, I sort of wonder if
maybe in the pre-patch,
like there's something we haven't learned yet too, that we're not supposed to learn. That, like, do you know when we first learned about the War Within a BlizzCon and they were talking about the Radiant song, and I was like, oh, that's so obvious, that's Azeroth's voice. And they never said it was Azeroth's voice, like it was supposed to be mysterious. It does say to specify in the intro, they do attribute it to Azeroth. They think it's her talking.
Yeah.
But it all has me thinking, I'm like, what if there's something more happening here? Like, Magni says he hasn't heard her voice in years. And then there was
Which is kind of weird because he's the speaker of Azeroth. He's supposed to have her like on hotline sort of deal.
So I'm like, maybe there's something more there that we don't know that has happened since that time. And that's a story that we're going to end up unraveling. Because we've gone into the heart of Azeroth figuratively and literally, but now we're like actually going down underground even more so. And there's so many layers, pun intended, between like the sword in Azeroth going into the actual core of Azeroth. Like, there's something like, cooking.
You could have like you could have Sargeras like next to the planet. Like, you could fit so many layers into this thing. Yeah. So yeah, we go to Magni. We listen to Magni ranting about Azeroth a little bit, and then he goes like, well, okay, one last time, for old time's sake, let's see what she's got to say. And then the connection blows up in his face pretty much for unknown reasons. And that's pretty much where we leave him. He's knocked out. He's brought to Dalaran. In Dalaran, we meet Moira and Dagran, who has a fancy schmancy new model. Ever since he finally graduated from 2-polygon 5-pixel dwarf baby from, I think it was Cataclysm that he was like, because in Classic we rescue Moira, but then she's pregnant, and then I think she's the whole Council of Three, the Council of the Hammers thing happens in Cataclysm, and by then he's like in his crib in Ironforge. And now he's a tall-ass adolescent dwarf who is apparently very much a fan of books. Very much so a scholar. Relatable. Yeah,
He's asking all the questions I want to know.
Yeah, he's quickly becoming a favorite at the Lost Codex, that's for sure. So
team mascot.
Yeah, so they together with Brown Bronzebeard. So we've got pretty much like the whole Bronzebeard clan, except for the third brother. Muradin, yeah, Muradin. I knew that. Except for Muradin, like everyone's there, sitting around Magni, who is knocked out in Dalaran. And that's when the Tauren comes back in and gives us the opportunity to skip ahead into the Isle of Dorn. So whatever happens between then and, quite frankly, the wreckage we find on the Isle of Dorn is unknown as of now. And I do believe we can say is that from other talks we've had with Blizzard folks in the meantime, that's all we're going to get until stuff goes live for the actual release. They are I'm pretty sure they were quite firm in that. That they're not going to play test that bit. I'm very curious to learn what Taron Gregory will do with that. Because let's be honest, that is not going to be an in-game cinematic. That's going to be like a pre-rendered, like a full-on Taron Gregory and team cinematic.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that's what I was expecting, that this would be a cinematic reveal, and it made sense to me because we've seen clips and pieces of it in like the promotional previews and stuff, where like you saw Illyria walking through Dalaran, and I did not think anything of that at the time. And now I'm like,
she's like Dalaran is like her home base or one of her home bases and whatnot, blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden we received the press kit, and there was a screenshot. Like at first I mistook it like, no, that's some Draenei ruins, whatever, or Draenei. I don't know.
Literally, I was like, wow, what pretty purple crystals. Way too distracted by Illyria to actually look at what she was standing in front of.
I was like, hold on, that's not Draenei stuff. That's the center spire of Dalaran.
Yeah.
If that's here in pieces, then what happened to the rest of the city? Like, at best, it's a donut right now. Like its core is entirely gone because that's here. At worst, it's here, it's there, it's everywhere pretty much. And we see bits and pieces of that in the intro quests. We help a couple of NPCs, and some named NPCs as well. I mean, we meet Meryl, Fellstorm, the Blood Elf Sunreaver leader, I believe, who needs a mana potion, which we graciously provide.
I've had a few days to like process, so I think I've just already accepted it as reality. But when I first realized that was Dalaran that had just literally crashed and burned, even without really knowing the context. Not that you learn a lot of context in the quests. I was like, I think I actually thought it was pretty cool as something to start like this war off, that the stakes are so high. Like this city literally crashes and burns. Like that's a real threat. Like we can't underestimate Xal'atath now if she's going to do something like that. Literally out of the gate.
If she's capable of organizing something like this is like, okay, we better put on our epic pants because we need to get to work. And then we quite soon actually make our way into Dornagal, the new city hub. A very pretty city hub, I gotta say. It looks very good. I'm not gonna spoil anything about that, but I encourage everyone to look at the profession area and to visit the engineering location. I believe the blacksmith is also over there. There's a big hammer. I encourage you to look at that very closely, at your own peril. But yeah, that's
close and personal.
Up close and personal. Yeah, that's and what we saw of the city is by no means done. Blizzard warned us about that beforehand. There are plenty of NPCs that aren't pathing properly, so they are walking funny paths and are just outright missing. So there are large swaths of the city that just aren't filled or aren't filled as much as they could be. So yeah, we've got something to look forward to in the coming weeks and months as the alpha and beta expands. But for now, looking good. And
yeah, I wasn't. Yeah. So generally speaking, before we saw anything, really just knowing about the War Within, I was expecting to go in and feel sort of passively uninterested, because I'm not really like a big dwarf earthen lore person. I respect them, but I'm not like majorly into the lore. And then when you see this city and playing through some of the quests, I was suddenly like, wait, I'm really into this. Like, it was way more philosophical than I expected.
Yeah.
And a lot of the sort of general theming of the whole entire zone of Dorn, of all of like the main story and sort of the side quest, has to do with like existential dread and crises and like what do you do?
For as colorful and bright as that place is, the themes were quite heavy as well. I mean, there's literally a quest where you aid two dwarves with like preparing for one of those. Earthen. You aid two earthen, where you help them prepare to basically send off the old earthen. He knows his memory banks are failing, so he knows he's about to literally shut that. That's what they call it. They shut down at the end of their lifespan, because turns out the earthen have charge cycles, and in order to pretty much go about their business, do their Titan-infused jobs from time to time, and this is a time span that is measured in centuries at best and millennia, if not millennia. But at some point, they need to recharge. At which point, we learned that they pretty much upload their memories to sort of like a central data bank, because they can only fit so many memories. When they recharge, they're basically like, it's a factory reset. They get their bodies get repaired, and they're, I think, like memories, and in that same vein, pretty much their personality, I would assume as well, gets put back to the way it was when they were first created. And then they can use those stored memories to like view back bits and pieces so that they know what happened and whatnot. But this is all happening pre-sundering, because the sundering shakes things up, and pretty much, I'm not quite sure if they specified if it's destroyed or just disabled. But anyway, the recharge station, the battery charger is not working. So the earthen cannot recharge. So they know that the next time that they can't recharge, so eventually they'll shut down. And before they shut down, they literally get dealt the Alzheimer card. Pretty much, their memory banks start to become full. So new memories overwrite old memories and all that. And that was like, damn, that's some deep, difficult stuff if you think about it.
Yeah,
welcome
so much
to the new expansion.
Emotional damage.
Yeah.
So much of the earthen plot, either like directly or indirectly, has to do with that question of like, what do you do when you know you're gonna die? Because part of what we have learned too, generally, not specifically from like alpha, but just in previews too, is that the earthen are divided into two factions. There's the Oathsworn, who still are allied, allegiant to the Titans and carry out their will, and then there's the Unbound, who broke away and are like, we don't think the Titans are returning anymore. It's been,
it's been
millions,
millennia,
thousands of years.
It's been thousands of years. Mm-hmm. And now that we only have like one life left to live for however many hundreds of years, whatever. Anyway, carpe diem. I'm gonna live my life.
Yeah,
the way
they're like, what's the point anymore?
Yeah, exactly. And that's an interesting. It's a interesting conflict, both in terms of not just in terms of like one person to one person, but like philosophies. That's the word I was looking for.
There's a very specific feeling of like watching this whole society know that their population's gonna dwindle, and I feel like there's a little bit of that present in every quest, and they're like joyful. Like, I wouldn't say it's terribly bleak, but there is sort of like, it made me feel dread, like the existential dread of talking to everybody and having them be like, I think I'm gonna do this until I shut down, and it's like, oh my god.
If I'm gonna shut down, I'm gonna do it like at the lake or at the like. You good?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, that's role players out there. You're gonna have a lot of fun.
Something that I thought about going through all of this too And I brought this up to someone, I don't remember who, but it's definitely a thing that they're like, well, we don't think the Titans are ever going to come back. And I'm just sitting here, the player character, like,
We talk to them.
well,
they're out there. They're just, they're having a tea party with Sargeras.
Yeah, if you look up, like 45 angles that way, that little red thing in the sky.
It's been there
that's
for like
where
3 expansions now. That's where they are. Just, point a very, very, very powerful satellite that way and start screaming.
But they're already like in the middle of so many existential crises. I feel like being like, the Titans are just over there would make it worse.
Yeah,
because then I imagine
I would be kind of curious actually. What would they react like? Oh shit, you're still alive. If the Titans actually like landed and it's like, okay, guys, how have you been doing the last minute? What happened here? Pretty much.
That would change things.
Yeah.
Because I think the Earthen, they felt, the Unbound at least specifically felt abandoned. Like they're like, the Titans aren't coming back. And the Titans definitely have bigger fish to fry.
I'm pretty sure they're still in a therapy session with Sargeras.
Something's happening there. There is it's interesting to me too. So the Earthen, they all fall under Titan Forged, but there's no Titan Keepers. If you notice that. Like in the hierarchy, like in the way that we've seen in WoW before, you have like the Vrykul Titan Forged, you have the Mechanomes, you have the Earthen, and then there's like the Titan Keepers.
Yeah, they're all being led, or like they all answer to a keeper, be it Mimiron, be it Agramar.
And
no, that's a Titan. Hold
on. A keeper mentioned in like a lore plaque in the zone.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's no keeper. And there's another thing too. And I'm really getting into the weeds here. This is all very specific little lore spoilers.
And that's also a cool thing. There were a lot of little cool lore tidbits and all that. There were like old Watcher statues to discover, plaques with like little lore tidbits. It's for the very first bit of the alpha, it was pretty well filled. We gotta eat good.
Yeah, I was going around trying to find all of them, and there's spoiler. There's a console on one of the islands, a Titan console that still has like a detached arm connected to it.
That was pretty gruesome.
It's like something deactivation protocol, but like just trying to connect the dots. I was like, there's no Titan Keepers on Kaz Algar on the surface. What we can see, we haven't gone deeper, but there's this severed arm hovering over something that says deactivation protocol. Like something happened here and I don't know what it is, but I want to know, and I don't know what to make of it all. Like there's pieces.
Yeah. Because let's see, so most of the Titan Forged we've met, especially the ones in and around the Dragon Isles, they were switched off until very recently. They only got reactivated because Stony Tony woke up and lit the beacons. And who's to say there aren't more bits and pieces of Titan Forged around the world that were deactivated at some point for whatever reason. I mean, we don't really know because
starting to feel like the Titans didn't do a good job compensating for how much time would pass, because there's too many instances of like the things that they've done failing because it's just been so long.
Yeah. And I mean, for all we know, like Amanthul has the most experience with hatching world souls. He's hatched like pretty much all the other Titans. And he's like, oh, well, this Titan will probably take like X amount of millennia. We set up the systems for that. Meanwhile, because Azeroth is Azeroth, it takes a little bit longer. Not to say a whole lot longer. And of course, in the meantime, the Titans get literally destroyed by Sargeras for a while. So yeah, for all we know, Azeroth just doesn't follow the specs of other Titans and takes longer, and therefore systems start failing because, if you don't maintain them. Yeah. Anyway, circling back to gameplay for a change. So we get into Dornagal, we meet up the rest of our gang. So Anduin, Thrall, Jaina, and Illyria are pretty much the go-to hero characters, at least at the start. Yeah, it turns out the Nerubian peoples attacked the city, and they destroyed, or at the very least blocked, the tunnel deeper into the world, which they have a very cool name for, which I've completely...
The Core Way.
The Core Way. I was like, the Castway. No, wait. The Core Way. Which is pretty much a big tunnel, which you can actually, eventually... I tried flying through it. I could fly through it. I flew into the next zone and then was promptly booted back to Stormwind because Blizzard says no. But yeah, that's pretty much the tunnel into the subterranean zones for the expansion. And that place is blocked now. So we need to repair that. And that's where the Earthen come in.
Honestly, I think my favorite thing was just the general existential dread. I love philosophical nonsense. So I'm like, heck yeah, give me more of that angst.
Yeah, I was definitely pleasantly surprised by how meaningful the first couple of quests were. Also very fun to see a couple of the Dragonscale expedition people being there. Let's see,
God,
Elf, the Elf, the Human, and a Niffen.
I know this has been contentious in the past because of quote fatigue and stuff, but I love that we get to see them sort of directly after Dragonflight continuing to go out into the world and doing the things that they were doing in Dragonflight 2. Renan is just out there looking for Titan relics again. And I was like, I love this bit of continuity and having a Niffen there too, because I was like, oh yeah, the Niffen and the underground just makes sense.
Yep. I expect we'll see more of them as well once we get to the underground zones. But okay, so those people are back. What else do we have? There was a very interesting quest line as well surrounding two rams who, the legend says, conjure up a storm each year or refresh a storm each year. But this year it didn't happen because one of the brothers has been missing. And then you've got a couple of dwarves, a couple of earthen that say well, it's just a fairy tale, it's urban myth. And then the other of us no, it's actually real. And then you go out there and you pretty much meet up two wild gods. Ram version of the bear gods. Oh my god, they were brothers.
It was definitely giving wild gods. It didn't call them wild gods, but I was like, okay, big nature entity who has inspired mythology and influences this area, which I thought was really cool because I love it whenever we get cultural world building. And I think it was also such an interesting flavor considering that these are Titan forged, these are earthen, right? They have up until this point.
These aren't creatures born from Azeroth's essence or whatever, how the nun.
But they're very their whole thing is sort of about logic and truth, and so the fact that they're literally Titan forged, they're Titan creations, but the fact that even though they'd never submitted to the curse of flesh, they still developed sort of their own beliefs. And so these beliefs in this quest turned out to actually be factual, but the fact that they sort of internalized them as these mythologies, because in part of the quests the earthen are are we sure this is true? I think this is just myth. And I it was a small thing, but I thought that was so cool.
Good point. They actually, I also liked how the whole we're actually they're sort of more machine than man type thing. They really pay close attention to that. The whole way they speak and the terms they use to both describe themselves and their actions and all that, they're very much, my prerogative does not include this. Maybe it should.
I remember
what do I do?
Going through the city and seeing gossip dialogue, which I don't think I got at the time, but just occurred to me. They're talking about how like some of the earthen would just shut down in their units and then they'd have to be removed. And like this is so horrifying. Like I think the good analogy for it does sort of have to do with like collective memory loss, like dementia, but just sort of this collective dwindling and like slowly powering down without really knowing when exactly it's going to happen. It could just happen. I cannot understate enough how there's like some weirdly unexpected legit like existential terror, and I've really hooked on to this. Like this is the standout point for me, so I'm just gonna keep going back to it when we talk about like your general impressions of the zone. Existential dread.
Yep.
But I just it really stands out to me.
We're gonna that's gonna be the thumbnail for this episode. The War Within Alpha. Existential dread. Yeah, we'll get there. Let's see what else there were. There were quite a couple of areas that I think were. I mean, we know there were like I think 2 or 3 areas in the Isle of Dorn that weren't finished yet. They weren't actually available. There were no quest hubs there, so that's TBD. And there were also a couple of areas that, especially like I flew over a couple of rare spawns, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fly down here. I'm gonna kill a rare spawn. I'm gonna get loot. Why is this rare spawn surrounded by level 80 elites? While I'm level 71. Yeah, that was a bit of a funky level ranging over there. But I guess, again, alpha is gonna alpha.
Yeah, I sort of assumed maybe that it was like the Shadowlands model, like in Bastion and stuff, where you had the high level areas and you knew that was going to be part of future campaign things. Because they were like pretty separate, but I definitely landed some places to do stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they are separate, but like, for example, if you go to the meadery where you eventually cause a little explosion, like right outside there, like in the little foresty area near it, that's level 80 stuff. Like you don't even need to go far out of your questing zone to get like, I don't think I should be here kind of vibes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
There's that one quest where you have to heal the mountain giant. It's also interesting. There's a lot to unpack there because I don't know how much you've explored, but I was running around and there's a few mountain giants sort of here and there scattered.
I didn't notice that. The only mountain giant that I noticed was, of course, the one that's for a quest that's taken a long sleep in a pond, and you eventually wake him up and heal him, and he becomes best buddies with a couple of earthen. That was pretty interesting as well, because they're pretty similar in terms of like origin. They're both Titan made.
Yeah, that's true.
They're like cousins at best. That was interesting to see how that turns out, because we're going to see those again, definitely.
There's a small undercurrent here, speaking of more lore things, where a few quests, and mostly that one, because that's what made me think of it, where they talk about like elemental disturbances. And we know, actually from pre-existing lore, we learned a lot more in that Uldaman book than I really thought we did, that first mentioned and hinted at Kaz Algar, that there was a fissure that appeared in Kaz Algar, which I assume was what the Coreway was made to go into, but that there's been like all sorts of sort of geological things happening, and who knows why? Could it be the Nerubians? Could it be something else? But that's like another thing that I feel like is being seeded, and so when I was going through that quest, I was thinking about it too, and I was like, what's the significance of this?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to explore, and I'm very looking forward to what the other zones are going to offer as well, because the Arathi type zone, what was the name again? The
Hallowfall.
Hallowfall, yeah.
I'm looking forward to that
Oh
one.
yeah,
The most.
that's we can't we couldn't go there in the alpha build that we could explore, but we did see some footage of it in the press kit, which is also available like public now. So go check it out if you want to. But that crystal in the sky, whew, looking good in both phases as well, because there's going to be some sort of like a light and a void phase to it.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure if that's going to be like story bound or like time of day bound. They did tell us that that depending on like where the light of the crystal glows, you'll have different response, for example. So that's going to be like a little element. And of course, big question is, what is it? Is it a Naru?
Yeah.
Is it the tip of the sword or whatever? That it's not the tip of the sword. I'm pretty sure we've got that confirmed at some point. And Naru question mark? But yeah.
Naru-esque. Watch
Naru-esque.
it just be like another like Oshugun, Genadar, Exodar, like a Naru ship that just somehow crashed somewhere. Okay, that's my theory. Sold.
Yeah, could be.
Not like a Naru itself, but it's weird because it does go through void phases.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know.
I mean, we've seen Naru do that before, at least twice, I believe.
Yeah, but I was like, what, a ship? Unless they're sort of like alive.
What if the Naru is like the core of the ship, like the power source of it? And
aren't they though? Like canonically, like when Oshugun was being driven, but I don't remember their names.
Yeah,
but like when
that's old lore by now, and also like 2, 3, 4, 5 expansions ago. So it's a little bit. We've had a couple of cycles of recharge cycles since then. So forgive us if our memory banks are a little bit.
I am generally speaking though most excited for Hallowfall because it has the most like deep lore cuts that are referential to things I'm interested in. Mm-hmm. Obviously, like the Earthen and the Nerubians are also references to a whole bunch of pre-existing lore. But I feel like they're sort of newer or more separate, distinct things, whereas Hallowfall and like the Arathi are actually sort of a like explicit reference to things we know. And I got so excited. And I'm just really looking forward to it. So the week we get Hallowfall, I'm going to be entirely insane. Yeah.
I'm gonna like already in this alpha build, I was like, this is going to be like a nice spot to, I don't know, create a background loop video or whatever. This is nice. This is pretty. It's also pretty. And this is just the first zone.
Yeah, I love all of the I like how in Dornigal specifically, thinking about the architecture, that it's not like underground necessarily in the way that sort of you would associate with traditional dwarven structures. It reminds me a lot of back up a second. Dorn in general gives me like Arathi Highlands mixed with Twilight Highlands vibes, and a little bit of like the hinterlands, because the sort of gradient positioning of Dornigal reminds me of the Eyrie.
Yep.
And I like Dornigal and the buildings specifically because they all feel very recessed, even though the city itself is not underground. So it has all of the buildings sort of have these like long sort of entryways or like multiple rooms where you just like keep going down into them.
It's like a burrow sort of like design, the first area, and then you go down to like a couple of rooms, and then you go down to some more rooms, and like at the very least like 2 or 3 layers or something for most buildings. So there's a lot of little nooks and crannies to explore. And
it's going to be a role player's dream because I'm pretty sure you can go in like almost every single building.
Yeah, there was I couldn't detect any of like, oh yeah, you look, that's in the distance over there. That's the rest of the city. That's a matte painting. No, everything you can see is actually a building that you can enter at this point, or at the very least.
You've got like bathtubs, There's like a whole sort of spa sauna area.
There's a sauna area where there's like actually like one of the earthen, like sitting on a lava grate, like sitting over top of lava. Like, yeah, I'm having a nice little soak in this boiling hot water. Yeah.
The city has a lot of cool areas. There's also sort of like the dark alleyway where I'll give it away a little because I want to, where a lot of the less savory types who survived Dalaran have shacked up there. And you may be able to find a rat that you can put on your shoulder and keep you company.
Oh, I need to get back in
Fun
there.
fact. Yeah. There's also
the other rats that we found did not quite make it.
But the turtles made it to the water.
The turtle made it to the water. That's for sure. Oh yeah, I dread going there, like in newer builds and going and eventually in retail, like when it gets released. Like, oh god, let's make a list. Okay, who made it? Sound off. Because, yeah, we're going to lose some people.
Yeah, it was nice. I was seeing a lot of really familiar names in the intro and going down the list. And I think one of the ones that sticks out to me the most that I thought was really funny is that there was like, I won't give away who it is, but there was someone who was polymorphed. And I thought that was hilarious. Like, the city crashes and you just end up polymorphed. How much does that suck?
Like, you thought you had a bad day, brother. You have no idea. The things I've seen. Yeah. And I mean, of course, it's also fun to see the Dalaran people again, because it's been quite a couple of expansions since Dalaran was current again. It's been since Legion. I mean, we've had BFA, Shadowlands, and now Dragonflight in between. And now we can finally get to go like every couple of expansions we get to go back to Dalaran. But I've got a funny feeling that this time I don't think we'll go back to Dalaran in the last World Soul expansion in a couple of years. I think, yeah. Yeah,
are they going to rebuild it again?
Yeah,
the third time's a charm.
Yeah. Okay, we tried flying. We tried sitting on the ground. We tried flying. How about underwater this time? Let's go Bioshock on this thing.
Underwater expansion. Let's go.
Yeah. But yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to add? Because I think we've gone over the most important, at least to us, the most important. We haven't even discussed like the hero talents, some of the other like expansion defining features and all that. Delves were pretty fun. I tried one delve. I don't know if you tried them.
I did. I don't have any strong feelings. Actually, I think the one thing is that they did remind me of Torghast, I think, with a lot of the like tech.
Yeah.
And we learned that they would be randomized because right now it's just sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
Over and over. But you know me, I'm mostly a lore person.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of
put like lore tidbits like in the furthest corner of level 3 of Delve X, then we will go there. I'll
do it for the lore.
Yeah.
I think most of the standouts and most of the things that I've been interested in and like most of my first impressions have revolved around like, what do I think of this story? What do I think about this lore bit? And if I'm feeling intrigued, that's it. That's all. I'm sold. I don't care about anything else.
What I'm interested about in the whole Delve stuff is that you're going to be able to earn yourself a mount with them, which is a flying machine, which you can customize. I'm like, I've got a thing for gnomes. Well, I guess I gotta do this all the way through. All the achievements, all the unlocks, everything. I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Dragon riding is in. I mean, of course, dragon riding is in, but the dragon races are in as well. There is at least one dragon race. There's also a new dragon riding ability that you can switch. You know you have the little corkscrew like boost thing you have now. In place of that, you can have sort of like a lightning boost, which charges up as you fly fast. And if you push the nitro button, for example, you go really fast, but you become very, very hard to maneuver. So you just shoot out straight and then hope that you don't need to make a quick turn, because, yeah, that's not going to happen. And I actually managed to get silver on the most basic race because of that. Because I got the ring I was aiming for. I did not get the ring that was like right to the left of it. So
I'm so predictable because I didn't do any of the races. I didn't do the dungeons. All I did was
I didn't do the dungeons. We should actually do that. I mean, like at the time of this recording, the alpha is still live. We still got a little under 24 hours. And especially, like, I'm not quite sure. We should do the dungeon, if only to see, like, okay, the rookery, where they hatch and take care of all the storm-themed griffin bird mounts. Something happens there. You're actually guided there during the questing experience. So that's actually something new that they're going to introduce this expansion, is that during the campaign you are guided through a dungeon, and it doesn't matter if you want to do the dungeon with a group or if you just do it with followers, so with AI.
I'm so excited about that, because
it opens up a whole lot of new story possibilities, that's for sure.
I always hated having to like go through dungeons during quest campaigns in the past, because it's like, okay, you have to queue up, you have to do something with other people, it's inconvenient. But like now you can just do it as a follower dungeon, so you don't have to stress about other people, you can just go through it.
Yeah.
And I think they were very open about talking about how that really opens up more opportunities, where like now dungeons don't have to feel disconnected from the story, or like don't have to be disconnected from the story to feel good for the story. A lot more like, I guess, like Final Fantasy XIV, which I have dabbled in, because the dungeons and stuff are a huge part of like sort of capstoning your story experience. And I always hated that. I was like, I don't like feeling like I'm forced. I don't like other people. I just want to experience the story by myself. Yeah, unfortunately, yes.
Well, we'll have your back by next expansion.
So I'm really looking forward to that. I think that's going to be cool. I've heard people really like the meadery secondhand.
Yeah. I like the meadery, like at the very least, like in terms of aesthetics and the way it looks, and it's a very cool looking place. But I haven't done the dungeon yet. I need to get back in there. I need to play some more.
Yeah. We'll go back to it right now.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that just about sums up our like first impressions. In the meantime, we will continue to make videos as far as we can make them at this point in time, because that's something that we also got a little bit blindsided. We haven't actually discussed that, have we? How we had ideas for like 2 or 3 videos based on the press kits and like what we like brainstormed about. We were going to do like a video about, okay, Dalaran. Apparently Dalaran is in shambles. What happened? Let's do
and we learned nothing.
Spoiler heavy, like we had this whole angle how to do it like in universe, who was going to be our protagonist, this and this and that and that, and we learned nothing during the alpha. It's like one moment it's there, the next moment it's gone. What happened in between? We don't know. It's going to be a very short video. And then the next idea was like an explorer type video, like Dorn. We're probably still going to do that one, but that one took more of like a back seat until eventually we settled on an earthen. I think you could call it a earthen like primer. Like this is the earthen civilization as we find it now on the Isle of Dorn, and this is what they're all about. And this is how they're organized and all that. I hope to see that. I mean, yeah, hope to see you again soon for our next impressions discussion for the next zone. Keep an eye out on our Twitter, twitter.com/thelostcodex, or this channel, youtube.com/thelostcodex. And we hope to see you again soon for some more Lost Codex lore-filled adventures. All right. See you, everyone.